In my previous life, I gave up being the heiress of a successful corporation to become a doormat. I poured my heart and soul into raising an ungrateful person. As I faced my demise, Louis was enjoying his success, using my money to charm women. I couldn't accept it. Reborn, this time, when I saw Louis being bullied and mocked by his classmates, I didn't save him. Louis, you're stuck in the mud, this is the life you deserve. The first time I saw Louis was during my freshman year of college. He had transferred from another major, wearing a faded shirt, sitting upright with his back straight, and his thick eyebrows slightly furrowed, revealing a pair of unusually clear eyes. Perhaps it was his out-of-place aura that made me can't help but look at him differently, quietly observing his every move. Until that day, Louis was cornered at the cafeteria entrance by a group of thugs. They shouted insults and pointed at him. Your father owes high-interest loans. You should pay it back. Today, either give us the money or we'll beat you to death. Choose. It was mealtime, and many students were passing by, watching the spectacle. Louis's slender body trembled slightly, clearly afraid. At that moment, I stepped forward and resolved the situation for him. I was the daughter of a wealthy businessman from Chicago, with a privileged upbringing. $1 million was nothing to me, not even worth the handbag I was carrying. But Louis remembered it deeply, insisting on returning it to me with a stiff, distant tone. Looking at the young man's slender, fair face, I couldn't help but be drawn to him. I threw myself into this relationship, loving him without expecting anything in return. I covered all of Louis's living expenses, bought him designer clothes and bags, and turned down all his admirers for him. But Louis remained cold toward me, never responding to my feelings. It wasn't until graduation year that he approached me, asking me to arrange a job for his childhood sweetheart. He said, Lucy is smart, she just doesn't have a high education, otherwise she wouldn't need to ask you. As a favor, I'm willing to join your company. You know, with my abilities, I could have had better options. I couldn't bear to refuse Louis, even though I had my doubts, so I arranged for Lucy to join the company. But I never imagined that Louis had already been secretly involved with Lucy. The two of them schemed to defraud my family's business and even orchestrated a car accident, endangering the lives of my entire family. After the accident, I lay in the hospital bed, unable to open my eyes. I heard the voice of my best friend, Lucy, by my side. Lugu, do you think what we're doing is too much? After all, Li Shurqing once helped you. Lucy was crying with tears streaming down her face, and Louis held her tenderly. Lucy, don't feel sorry for them. The Li family are hypocrites, they never respected me. The consequences of today are all their own doing. I lay alone on the bed, my body in agonizing pain, hearing Louis say, this car accident was just an accident. Li Shurqing's parents are both dead, and she's the only one left clinging to life. But the doctor said she's unlikely to wake up. Lucy laughed sharply, then she'll end up in a vegetative state. Humph, she deserves it. She pouted at Louis, brother, I hate that woman. Why don't you think of another way to make her die in the hospital? Look at her now, covered in blood. It's so disgusting, I'm going to vomit. Lucy spoke so disparagingly of me, yet Louis went along with her, be good. If it's disgusting, don't look. I'll take you out for something delicious. Think about it, once she's gone, the Li family's business will all be mine. Great. Lucy looked smug with her newfound power. Before leaving, she pulled out my pain pump and said viciously, die in pain, you worthless woman. Go die. The ward door opened and closed. The excruciating pain surged through my brain. As I lay dying, I struggled to open my eyes bulging in agony. You bastard and slut, you'll never let me rest in peace. Reborn, I was dazed and heard my roommate Cindy calling me. Ching, wake up. Class is over. Let's go eat. Where am I? Cindy patted my shoulder. Did you sleep so hard you forgot where you are? Rare for a straight-A student to sleep in class. She urged me, hurry up, I want to eat chicken cutlet. Let's get there early to line up. Walking through the familiar campus, seeing the familiar faces from my memories, I finally realized. I had been reborn. At the entrance of the cafeteria, I could see a crowd of people from a distance, some of them cursing and shouting Louis's name. Louis? Cindy looked at me. Ching, did you hear that? Yeah. I bit my lip. I not only heard it, but I also knew exactly what was happening. Louis was being chased by debt collectors, and those people wouldn't leave until they got their money. But this time, I would never help him again. I grabbed Cindy, who was eager to join in, and shook my head at her. Don't get involved. Let's go eat. I'll treat you. No way. Cindy was surprised. Ching, Louis is in trouble, and you're not going to help him? Back then, when I had a crush on Louis, Cindy had noticed and even tried to talk me out of it. You're a spoiled princess who doesn't know the real world, and Louis is just a poor guy. You're not a good match. Plus, I always felt like he acted so high and mighty, like he wanted everyone to stay away, but his eyes were so creepy. He doesn't seem like a good person. Unfortunately, I didn't listen back then and paid a huge price before finally coming to my senses. I smiled at Cindy and said, I suddenly realized you were right. Louis doesn't deserve me. That's right. Cindy nodded in satisfaction. Let's go. Who cares about him? I pushed my way through the crowd, not sparing Louis a single glance. But fate had other plans. Louis had just been beaten up and fell at my feet. Our eyes locked, and he looked utterly defeated, his gaze fierce like a wolf cornered in a trap. I said coldly, You're blocking my way. Please move aside. Louis didn't move. His face was filled with disbelief as he stared at me. You. Get out of the way. I kicked his hand away in the commotion and left without looking back. I don't know how Louis dealt with those people later. The next day in class, he was already sitting in the classroom. When he saw me come in, he actually invited me. Li Shking, you can sit next to me. His face was still bruised, and with his cold expression, he looked utterly ridiculous. I deeply doubted whether I was blind in my previous life to have ever thought Louis was decent. I sneered, No, thanks. I'm not close with Luke. Li Shking. Louis, rejected, grew angry and retorted, What are you doing? You like me, don't you? I'm giving you a chance. Come sit over here. Ha. I couldn't help but laugh. Luke, don't think too highly of yourself. How blind must I be to like you, you plague of a person? You. Louis was speechless. Li Shking, don't you dare regret this. Haha, how ridiculous. I didn't bother with him and found a quiet spot to finish the class. I never expected that the aloof Louis from my previous life could be so persistent. In the evening, couples lingered in front of the girls' dormitory, sharing their feelings. Louis stood under the streetlight, his cold gaze darkening when he saw me. Where were you? Why are you back so late? I was exasperated. Louis, does this have anything to do with you? I started to walk away, but he grabbed my wrist, squeezing it painfully. I angrily shook him off. What do you want? Li Shing. Louis paused before speaking. It was my fault before. I shouldn't have ignored you. Here's what we'll do, you pay back the money for me, and I'll seriously consider dating you. Louis, you're really full of yourself. Do I look that stupid? Why do you think I'd want to be the one to pay for this? I looked at Louis, my heart filled with malice, and couldn't help but mock him. Looking at Luke's appearance, he must be having a tough time lately. Why don't you go get a job? While you're young and strong, save up some money so you don't end up unable to pay your tuition and get kicked out of school. Li Shking, you bitch, how dare you talk to Lugo like that? I was pushed from behind and turned to see Lucy baring her teeth, standing in front of Louis. Li Shking, just because your family is rich, does that make you so great? Who gave you the right to insult Louis? Apologize to him right now. Great, today started off badly. I saw these two people who ruined my life in my previous life. What a nightmare. I brushed the dirt off my skirt, glared at them, and sneered, Lucy, right? I heard you and Louis were childhood sweethearts and dropped out of high school to work. By now, you must have saved quite a bit of money. I raised an eyebrow. You're so worried about Louis. Why don't you just hand over the money and pay back the $1 million for him? Maybe he'll be moved and agree to be with you. What are you talking about? Lucy's face turned red as she stammered, That's all hard-earned money. It's not enough, you know? If you don't want to give money, don't try to drive us apart. She turned to look at Louis. Lou brother, don't let her fool you. How ridiculous. I walked past them and headed straight for the dormitory building. Talking to an idiot is such a waste of time. I've already been foolish once. I'll never make that mistake again in my life. After that night, Louis didn't come looking for me for a long time. According to Cindy, Louis's father had defaulted on his debts and was beaten severely by debt collectors, so Louis had to take leave to go back and take care of him. At his age, he should be full of vitality and have endless possibilities. Louis was talented, but his family dragged him down. It's truly a pity. The school heard about his situation and granted him a special scholarship, which could barely alleviate his difficulties. But none of that has anything to do with me. Having been reborn, I now know what is most precious in this world. When I don't have class, I go home to reunite with my parents. Seeing them healthy and chatting about trivial matters, I feel deeply moved. In my previous life, I was blinded by Louis Etienne and constantly argued with my parents over him. After graduation, I insisted on marrying Louis Etienne, but my mother refused. She pleaded with me, but all she got was me running away from home. They couldn't persuade me, so in the end, even though they were deeply reluctant, they had no choice but to accept Louis Etienne. Countless nights, my mother cried on the phone, begging me to come to my senses. Ching Ching, how could you be so foolish? Louis doesn't love you, can't you see that? My father was even more disappointed. Ching Ching, do you have to destroy our family before you're satisfied? At that time, I felt like I was under a curse. I couldn't hear anything. It wasn't until Louis arranged for us to rent a car and take a drive, then turned onto a secluded road where the brakes suddenly failed, sending the car careening off the cliff. In that moment of near-death, I finally came to my senses. I regretted everything I had done over the years. If I could start over, I would be the most considerate and obedient daughter, following my father's arrangements and entering the company for an internship. My mother arranged a blind date for me with an outstanding young man 5 years older than me, who was well matched with our family. At first, my mother worried I wouldn't cooperate, but to her surprise, Chris and I hit it off immediately and quickly became a couple. During my senior year of college, our families gathered together to hold a warm engagement ceremony for us. Chris was well-traveled and knowledgeable. Every day spent with him was incredibly fulfilling. Under his guidance, I quickly adapted to the workplace. After participating in 2 major projects, my father acknowledged my abilities and entrusted me with managing the branch office. He was overjoyed and told everyone, "The proudest achievement of my life is having such a wonderful daughter like Ching Ching." As life became fulfilling, I gradually forgot about Louis, and all the experiences from my past life felt like a dream. But I forgot that someone as extremely arrogant as him doesn't understand the concept of giving up when faced with difficulty. During the second semester of my senior year, students were required to go out for internships. Those with connections could arrange their own placements, while the rest had to follow the school's arrangements. But Louis was an exception. He blocked me at the dormitory building entrance, just as I was returning to fetch something. Li Shirqing. Louis didn't hesitate, grabbing my arm and berating me, "Where have you been lately? You're still a student, yet you don't come back to school all day. What kind of example are you setting?" He spoke confidently. "Li Shking, my GPA is in the top 3 of our year. I'm sure to land a job at a big company. You need to work harder on yourself, otherwise, you won't be worthy of me." The happy life I had been living lately had greatly weakened the anger within me. I didn't retaliate against Louis. I tried to keep a pleasant expression and patiently asked him, "Luke, what were you doing lurking around the girls' dormitory?" "You." Louis frowned, looking displeased. "Li Shking, your family runs a company, right? Arrange a job for Lucy. She may not have gone to university, but she's smart and hardworking. In return, I'll agree to help out at your company. You know, with my skills, I could get a better opportunity." Louis's confusing speech left me momentarily speechless. "So you're saying you and Lucy want to work at my family's company?" "That's right." Louis stood tall, showing no shame. "This shouldn't be too hard for you. Li Shirqing, if you help us, I'll forget about what happened before." This line of thinking is truly impressive. I couldn't help but admire Louis. The self-righteous aura he exuded was truly rare in this world. Out of a sense of duty to protect endangered animals, I didn't refuse him. "Well, it's not impossible." I pretended to be reluctant. "Louis, we're classmates. Since you've asked, I won't beat around the bush. I can arrange something for you, but the company has its rules. Lucy only has a middle school education, so her job options might be limited. Louis, surprisingly considerate for once, said, I understand. I'll talk to her about it. I knew you weren't an unreasonable person. Seeing that I had softened, Louis tested the waters. Li Shking, during the time you were away, I thought a lot. In the past, I was too hasty. Since you've agreed to help me today, you must still have feelings for me. Since that's the case, why don't we? Before Louis could finish his sentence, my phone suddenly rang. It was Chris calling. Louis's embarrassed expression was too funny, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud on the phone, catching Chris's attention. Ching, what are you laughing at? I glanced at Louis, then quickly covered the phone with my hand. Chris, there'll be some good drama soon. Louis gave me a large red scarf as a token of gratitude. Lucy made it herself. The color suits you perfectly. I looked at the red scarf covered in fuzz with disdain and reluctantly accepted it. Louis stepped forward, offering to put it on me. I backed away, waving my hands. No, it's pretty hot today. I'm afraid I'll get heat rash. All right then. Louis stopped reluctantly. Li Shing, when can I go back to work? So he'd been waiting here for me. I smiled. Any time is fine. I've already made arrangements. Louis heard this and immediately relaxed, nodding with relief. You're so generous. You'll definitely get along well with Lucy in the future. I can rest assured now. I nodded in agreement, lulling Louis into a false sense of security. When they arrived to report for duty, Lucy walked in arrogantly wearing a cheap leather jacket and pants. Where's Li Shing? Tell her to come out and see me. The manager had been waiting at the door since early morning. When they arrived, he handed 2 sets of clothes to Louis. Here, these are your work uniforms. Change into them and get to work immediately. Although Lily arranged this, you must still follow the rules. Shouting and causing a scene is unacceptable. Lucy was scolded the moment she arrived, her face red with embarrassment. She demanded to argue with me. The manager wasn't having any of it. Lily is a busy person. She doesn't have time to deal with you. You applied for a front desk position, yet you think you're someone important? What? Front desk? Lucy finally realized something was wrong. She looked at Louis and felt even more embarrassed. Lugu, these are security guard uniforms. She caused a scene, shouting so loudly that passers-by stopped to watch, making Louis feel humiliated. But he remained relatively composed, calming Lucy down and telling her to make do for now. I'll ask Li Shking about it later. There must be a misunderstanding. What he didn't know was that I had just taken on a major project and was leading a team on an overseas business trip, and wouldn't be back for another month. Before leaving, I specifically instructed the manager to take good care of Louis and Lucy. Lucy was lazy, vain, and had a history of theft. Even under my watch, she showed no signs of reform, and her actions were clearly captured on surveillance footage. The manager threatened to fire her, but Louis called to plead on her behalf. I pretended to be reluctant but eventually agreed to overlook Lucy. After this incident, he couldn't bring up the job transfer again for a while and had to grit his teeth and keep working. Louis is 1.8 meters tall, but due to long-term malnutrition, he is thin and frail. Combined with his fair skin, he has a cold, elegant beauty that catches the eye. Louis was assigned to handle security on the top floor, where only wealthy people come and go. There were no shortage of women who took a liking to Louis, openly and subtly expressing their interest, but all were rejected by him. Louis considered himself above such things, but Lucy didn't share his view. She clung to him, hoping to use him to change her fate, and there was no way she'd let him leave her. Under Lucy's careful planning, during a drunken night, Louis and she had a physical relationship. The girl shed tears of sorrow. Lugu, now I'm yours. You must make sure I live a good life. She didn't even consider that with Louis's monthly salary of 3,000 yuan, how could he possibly support her? Thus, Louis felt frustrated at work and faced the unrealistic demands of his childhood sweetheart at home. In just a month, he aged several years. After I returned to the country, Louis asked me to meet him at a cafe near the company. I was dressed in a custom-made suit, exuding an air of confidence and success. In contrast, Louis looked like a country bumpkin. At that moment, he had nothing left but his arrogance. Li Shirqing, tell the manager to transfer me to another position. He pulled off his name tag with disdain. I'm so talented, I can't keep working as a security guard. Make me your project manager, I can create greater value for you. And Lucy, she's young and beautiful, she's perfect to be your secretary. He was still so confident, relying on the slightest bit of affection I once had for him, urging me, it's settled then, go back and arrange it right away. Louis was too impatient. He had never doubted that I would listen to him. He finally got the transfer order and rushed to the top floor with Lucy, strutting like a proud rooster, eager for the whole world to know. Look, no matter how capable Li Shirqing is, she still has to listen to me. For the two of them, I suppressed my anger and carefully set a trap, waiting for them to fall into it. In my previous life, Louis used my name to secure a promotion and gradually infiltrated the company's power structure. He went to great lengths to forge company financial statements, fabricating baseless economic crimes that brought a series of troubles upon my father. Although it was eventually proven to be a misunderstanding, the incident left my father exhausted and in poor health. Louis took advantage of the situation to take over the company's main operations. Under the instigation of Lucy, he developed even more malicious intentions. What he wanted wasn't just money, it was the lives of my entire family. This time, I didn't make things difficult for Louis. Instead, I provided him with as many resources as possible, allowing him to fully utilize his abilities. There's no denying that Louis has some talent. If he could stay grounded, he might still have a chance at success. Unfortunately, he has never been a good person. Louis secured 2 major contracts in quick succession, received a generous bonus, and became arrogant. Lucy, dressed in a glamorous Chanel-style outfit, danced in front of me and boasted, Li Shirqing, I told you long ago that Louis is a high-potential individual. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to appreciate him. Now he's mine, and your envy is useless. I really admire her brain, how can she be dumber than a donkey? I feigned disappointment and said, you're right. I've already lost Louis. You must keep a close eye on him. I heard that many girls in the company like Louis. Under my exaggerated embellishment, Lucy kept an even closer eye on Louis. Louis couldn't take it anymore and proposed breaking up for the first time. Lucy pulled out all the stops, throwing a tantrum and threatening Louis to make him change his mind. But once a crack appears in a relationship, it's hard to mend it. This time, without me in the middle, Louis didn't seem to care much about Lucy. The look in his eyes as he looked at me was filled with unhidden curiosity, and he hesitated several times before speaking, but I noticed everything. That day, I called Louis over and closed the office door. There's a dinner party this week where we'll meet many industry bigwigs. If you're free, why don't you come with me? Louis agreed without hesitation, no problem. I smiled, don't you need to discuss it with Lucy? No need, Louis frowned, why should I discuss my affairs with her? Humph. I smiled ambiguously, don't be like that. Lucy cares about you. After all, she's always been on your side since we were in school. My words carried hidden meanings, and Louis naturally understood. He snorted, she's just a narrow-minded woman who can't achieve anything great. She's nothing like you. Before he could finish, the door suddenly swung open. Lucy was holding a cup of coffee, glaring angrily at Louis. What were you two doing in there? Why did you lock the door? Louis tried to explain, but Lucy wouldn't listen, pouring the scalding coffee all over him. Louis panicked, his face darkening with anger. Lucy, have you lost your mind? The two struggled, Lucy's makeup smudged, her earrings torn off, her face contorted in pain. I watched coldly, bored and annoyed, and called security to take them away. On the day of the banquet, Louis came to find me early to confirm the time again. I noticed the small scratch on his eyebrow and teased him with a smile, you and Lucy really are close, aren't you? He remained silent, so I continued to provoke him. From a young age, I've seen men change for money, cheat on their partners, and seek out mistresses. That's all too common. Someone as loyal as you is truly rare. Louis spoke up, Li Shirqing, actually, Oh, sorry. I checked the time and interrupted Louis. I have to meet a client. Let's talk later tonight. Humph, what a loser. He doesn't even deserve to confess to me. I deliberately teased Louis, making him beg for something he couldn't have, just to expose his true colors. Tonight's banquet was highly prestigious, with guests entering only by invitation. Louis arrived early but was stopped at the entrance, calling me with a sour expression. I arrived late, arm in arm with Chris, a perfect match, turning heads wherever we went. Louis, I'm here. I waved at him, satisfied to see a hint of surprise on his face, but pretended not to notice and smiled as I walked toward him. Sorry, I had to wait for my boyfriend to pick me up, so I'm a bit late. You don't mind, do you? Chris, with his seasoned business demeanor and natural authority, left Louis seething with frustration. It's fine, he said, suppressing his anger. Let's go inside. Louis turned around, revealing a black line on his neck. I feigned surprise and gasped, Louis, wait. There's something on your shirt. I pulled hard, revealing the clothing tag. The atmosphere grew awkward. I let go, feeling embarrassed. Louis, you're quite the savvy shopper. This is a 7-day return policy, right? Be careful not to spill any drinks on it today, they won't take it back otherwise. After saying that, I ignored Louis's embarrassed expression, took Chris's hand, and walked out with a graceful sway. Midway through the banquet, Chris pulled me aside, Ching-Ching, look at the person you brought. They have no sense of propriety. I followed her gaze and saw Louis holding a glass of wine, chatting animatedly with the brand's young miss. He had good taste, but unfortunately, his luck wasn't great. The woman came from a prestigious family and had already been engaged last year. Apparently, her fiancé had a bad temper. I couldn't help but laugh, this show is getting more and more interesting. Chris curiously asked, what do you have planned? You won't even tell me? I smiled and gave him a meaningful glance, don't rush. Look over there. At the entrance to the hotel's inner venue, Lucy was wearing a low-cut, waist-bearing puffed skirt, with exaggerated smoky makeup, arguing with a security guard. My boyfriend is inside. Why won't you let me in? The security guard, who had seen it all before, immediately recognized Lucy as a low-class woman. Seeing her being unreasonable, he tried to pull her away. Hey, don't touch me. Lucy crossed her arms, glaring angrily at the security guard, and shouted at the top of her lungs for Louis. Louis, I'm here. This security guard is trying to grope me. Come over here quickly. Everyone present was a prominent figure, and upon hearing the commotion, they all turned to look at the entrance. Louis, flushed with embarrassment, walked toward Lucy under the watchful eyes of the crowd. He didn't invite her inside but blocked the doorway, using his body to shield Lucy. This isn't a place you should be. Go back. Lucy flew into a rage upon hearing this. Louis, what do you mean? Do you look down on me now? When we were in bed together, did you think I wasn't good enough for you? Lucy was used to speaking crudely, but Louis valued his reputation. Hearing this, he couldn't hold back any longer. He grabbed Lucy's hand and tried to pull her out. Louis, let go of me. In the struggle, Lucy fell to the ground, her skirt's zipper came undone, revealing her snow-white chest. Ah! Lucy screamed shrilly, followed by a torrent of curses. Louis, you bastard! You ungrateful dog! You cheated on me with another woman, and I won't forgive you. You think I'm a disgrace, don't you? I'll make sure you don't get away with it. If I'm a disgrace, you won't be either. Lucy wailed like a ghost, becoming the most striking sight of the night. The elegant ladies present watched the commotion with relish, occasionally exchanging whispers, clearly viewing Louis and Lucy as cut from the same cloth. Poor Louis, he had hoped to use this dinner party to build connections, but now it seemed like all his efforts were in vain. The next day, Louis didn't come to work. On the third day, I heard from HR that Louis had taken 7 days of annual leave. He was still on probation, and the manager asked for my opinion. I smiled and said, it's okay, let him go. In my previous life, I already knew that Lucy wasn't someone to be underestimated. If Louis was vain and cold-hearted, then Lucy was the real deal, a genuine villain. But I never expected her to start live streaming on a video platform, twisting the truth and slandering me as a heartless woman who played with people's emotions. She sat in front of the camera, looking pitiful as she made her accusations. Louis and I were childhood sweethearts, growing up together. Louis was always smart and handsome, and Li Shiqing took a liking to him. She used her family's wealth to hire people to threaten Louis and force us apart. The photos Lucy posted clearly showed people who had come to collect debts, yet she presented them as irrefutable evidence against me. Lucy wept bitterly, accusing me. Louis could have had a bright future, but Li Shiqing forced him into her family's company. After he started working there, she repeatedly abused her power, using him as a pawn to seduce female clients. Louis is an upright person, of course, he wouldn't listen to her. Li Shiqing turned her back on him, pretending to take Louis to a cocktail party, but it was actually to humiliate him. Look. Lucy, desperate to destroy me, even released her own explicit photos, covering her face in tears. Louis and I are both children from ordinary families, we're just poor. Why should we be trampled on by a woman from a wealthy family? Lucy's live stream was recorded by netizens and turned into short videos, causing a huge stir. The videos were tagged with rich girl manipulating emotions and spread rapidly online. Beyond the screen, netizens criticized me harshly, overwhelmingly supporting Lucy and beginning to dox me online. This time, I truly saw the terrifying power of rumors. Chris was worried I couldn't handle it and came to my house to comfort me. Ching, I'll find someone to help you resolve this. No, Chris. I stopped him. Now isn't the time. 3 days later, I finally received a call from Louis. Li Shiqing, how have you been these past few days? I rolled my eyes. Thanks to you, my ancestors for 18 generations have been insulted. On the other end of the line, Louis sighed. I'm sorry, I didn't want this to happen either. He said, I can step in to clear things up for you, but you have to promise me a promotion and a raise. I rubbed my temples, wanting to tear his mouth apart right there. Louis, you're even more shameless than I thought. Want a promotion? Keep dreaming. After being rejected, Louis no longer held back, threatening, Li Shiqing, if you can't have me, you'll destroy me? Do you believe me? I'll destroy you first. I was so angry I almost dropped my phone. Fine, I'll wait and see. As they say, shamelessness is invincible. During Lucy's second live stream, Louis also appeared on camera. He looked elegant and refined, sitting calmly in front of the camera, speaking eloquently. Every word was an accusation against me. He said, Li Shiqing, as long as you stop tormenting Lucy, I'm willing to be with you. I spat. If it had been anything before, I could have endured it. But Louis personally came out to tear me apart, sparking outrage among netizens. Some even went to my parents' house and poured paint on our door. Others went as far as sending flower wreaths to the company in the middle of the night, scaring the security guards into calling the police. The situation escalated further, and Chris came to find me again, insisting on stepping in for me. Ching, I can't tolerate them slandering you like this. I gripped his hand tightly, drawing strength from his embrace. Chris, help me register an account. In this life and the last, there's no need for others to be involved between Louis and me. It's just a live stream, who can't do that? Since keyboard warriors only believe what they see, I gathered evidence and presented the entire truth to them. Lucy stole from the company and caused a scene at the party, all captured on surveillance footage. If Lucy can cry, I'll cry even more pitifully. I went makeup-free, with swollen eyes, and recounted every detail of what happened. From the moment I met Louis, he repeatedly morally blackmailed me, demanding money and a job. Lucy plays both sides, a classic example of someone who takes advantage and then acts innocent, like a shameless vampire, confusing right and wrong, and has seriously threatened my personal safety. I have already reported this to the police. Lucy intentionally created conflicts, ruined my reputation, and invaded my privacy. She will be severely punished by the law. Of course, I understand the principle of knowing when to stop. At the end of the live stream, I specifically said, I know that the majority of netizens are innocent. I know you have also been manipulated by Lucy. I apologize for wasting your valuable time due to our issues. Here, I apologize on her behalf to everyone. This move undoubtedly boosted my public image. Overnight, public opinion shifted completely. Thanks to my clear logic and decisive actions, I gained a large following. They followed the trail and started paying attention to my company's business, voluntarily promoting it for me. The sales of our products surged, and I ended up being the biggest winner. The mud that Louie and Lou Lucy threw at me will eventually all come back to haunt them. The story doesn't end here. Louie and Lou Lucy have ulterior motives. In our past lives, they ruthlessly killed me. Moral condemnation alone isn't enough. In fact, ever since Lou Lucy joined the company, I've been monitoring her. Lou Lucy is vain and materialistic. The current Louie can no longer satisfy her desires. Even when she was working as a receptionist, she wasn't content. Soon, she started an affair with a married man, becoming his mistress. On the surface, she still pretended to be in love with Louie, urging him to work hard to support the family. Their relationship was always precarious. This incident has only made things worse. I never expected Lou Lucy to be so bold. After her detention ended, Lou Lucy suddenly claimed she was in pain and went to the hospital, where she discovered she was pregnant. Calculating the timing, it doesn't seem to be Louie's child. She didn't care and cried and demanded that Louie take responsibility. Marry me, and give me a dowry of 1 million. If you don't, I'll keep causing trouble. Louie knew she was capable of such things and, with no other option, came to me for help. He called me, Li Shurqing, give me 1 million, and we'll forget about everything that happened. I'll forgive you. At that moment, I was on a date with Chris. The night sky in Chicago was starry and beautiful, and I was enjoying myself. I laughed, Louie, you're dreaming. He grew impatient, Li Shurqing, what do you mean? I'll borrow the money from you. With my abilities, I'll pay it back soon. What a big talker. I snorted, Louie, you're thinking too much. Didn't HR tell you? You've been fired. Now you're a big name online, and everyone in the industry knows you're a scumbag. Who would want to work with you? My little temple can't afford a big Buddha like you. I lowered my head, took a sip of tea, and exhaled deeply. Louie, I forgot to tell you, I'm getting married, you and me, one in heaven, one in hell. What makes you think I'd help you? You deserve to suffer. Seeing you suffer makes me so happy. My wedding was set for 6 months later. The wedding preparations were tedious. Chris was meticulous about every detail, insisting on the best of everything, which wore me out. I heard news about Louie again at a class reunion. Louie is in prison. After giving birth to the child, Lou Lucy's true nature was fully exposed. She was lazy, greedy, and had a terrible temper. Louie couldn't stand it anymore and endured it all for the sake of the child. But one day, he discovered the child wasn't his. What was even worse was that Lou Lucy remained restless, cheating on him with an older man behind his back, making him wear the green hat with pride. Louie lost control and attacked Lou Lucy. Two people driven mad by their emotions struggled, unable to control their strength, and Louie accidentally strangled Lou Lucy to death. They finally got what they deserved. The dust has settled. I gently caressed my slightly rounded abdomen, nestling happily in Chris's arms. This life, the happiness that belongs to me, has only just begun.